I know I said I wasn't going to make a video till the Broncos hired a head coach, but the Broncos social media and the PR hype machines that are out there, they're out of hand. Right now they're clowning Nathaniel Hackett, who just signed with the Jets. By the way, congrats to Nathaniel Hackett for going to a improving organization and leaving a dysfunctional organization. He's getting clowned for Nathaniel Hackett was trying to spin the narrative that Denver was the dysfunctional team, as if the team didn't drastically improve after his departure. First off, by the time he left, there were 2 games left in the season, right? And the Kansas City Chiefs did not take the Broncos seriously in even the slightest manner. And the Chargers played in a meaningless game because they were already in the playoffs. Their seeding was not going to change. Didn't matter. And they were a corner slipping on the turf away from losing that game. The Chargers beat themselves because they didn't give a fuck if they won that game. So let's call a spade there. All right? So Nathaniel Hackett is right. The Broncos are dysfunctional. They've been dysfunctional since Elway left. That is true. Because John Elway, the Trust 1.0, has been meddling with head coaches, meddling, interfering since the Trust was a thing. Then, when the fans start going after Elway fires himself by giving himself a promotion and a bigger office. And he hires George Paton as an onion layer to hide behind. George Paton wanted to hire Dan Quinn last year. I didn't personally agree with the decision to hire Dan Quinn. I thought it would just be another retread and someone who wouldn't have really fit Drew Lock, because I thought the team was going to build for the future with Drew Lock. And when Nathaniel Hackett was brought in, this was before the Broncos decided they wanted to unload all that draft capital for one player, Russell Wilson. Unload all of their cap space for Russell Wilson, one player. So is that Nathaniel Hackett's fault? No, that's the organization. Those are the people upstairs who made that happen. And because it didn't pan out, Nathaniel Hackett took the blame, took the heat, got fired because of it. And now Denver's left with this disgusting contract, a quarterback who isn't producing worth a shit, a terrible offensive line, terrible receivers, terrible middle linebackers, terrible defensive line, bad safeties, no draft picks to fix all those holes, no cap space to fix all of those holes, to fill all those holes. And if you come here, when you do get draft space, when you do get cap space, draft picks, you're not going to have any say on which players start for your team. Because the GM himself has no say on which players come to this team. Elway wanted to hire, George Paton wanted to hire Dan Quinn. Then he got the tap on the shoulder from John Elway because John Elway wanted to bring in Aaron Rodgers. So he hired Nathaniel Hackett, not for any football reason, but to bring in Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett had 11 excuses on offense, 11 excuses on defense, and 11 excuses on special teams. The head coach is the teacher, the players are the students, and when you have a room full of shitty-ass students, you're not going to go very far as a teacher. And that blame goes to the front office, it goes to John Elway, it goes from the Trust not allowing the GM to do their job. And then in comes the ownership. I get a little hopeful. The only one who said that they were the Trust 2.0 was Colby on Denver Broncos Mile High View. And he was right, 1,000%. This is the Trust 2.0. Because after the season ended, after Hackett was fired, they had that press conference, and they made George Paton fall on the sword for all the decisions that the Trust made. And they said that George Paton is not going to be in charge of hiring the head coach. He does not have the final say. Penner has the final say. So ownership strips George Paton of his power. Yet again, George Paton's not allowed to do the job of a general manager. And when it goes sour, they'll blame George Paton. George Paton will get fired. And he never got to be a GM. So if you're a head coach and you see these things happening, you're like, damn, even the fucking general manager has no power, no say. What am I going to be? I'm definitely, if the GM doesn't have say, I'm definitely going to have no say. I want no part of this. And they're going to say no. And that's exactly what Sean Payton and Jim Harbaugh did, even after being bribed with $25 million a year salaries. That's exactly what Dan Quinn just did. He just stated that he's going to stay in Dallas. He turned down the job as well. So who do the Broncos go after now? All your shoe-ins have declined the job. I thought Sean Payton was a shoe-in. I thought Jim Harbaugh was a shoe-in. I thought Dan Quinn was going to be a shoe-in. Who's next, Denver? Because you're in a position where the coaching market, Frank Reich already got hired. Jim Caldwell laughed his ass out of the building when he realized the fuckery that's going on in this organization. Who are you going to hire? You're going to have to settle with what you can get. And even when you settle for what you can get, they're just going to get their asses fired anyway. And you're going to further worsen the status of this job. So, I'm happy for Nathaniel Hackett. I wish him success. I hope he succeeds in New York. Denver, they're down bad. This organization's in shambles. They suck. They're going to suck for a long time. I'll be an old man with a cane by the time the Broncos are relevant again. And it's unfortunate. But the Denver Broncos, make no mistake of it, they're dysfunctional from the top down. And their roster fucking sucks. Has nothing to do with coaching because the coach isn't even allowed to do their job. Has nothing to do with the GM because the GM's not even allowed to do their job. It is everybody upstairs that is the problem. It's like an incompetently ran corporation, much like Walmart itself is incompetently ran. Just like Walmart. Incompetence. Terrible product. Everything. So, they're more concerned about stadium rebuilds, shopping centers, parking lots. Fans like me want winning product on the fucking field. And you fans are going to eat it all up. All the PR hype that they give you this offseason. Then next year, it'll be 5-12 again. Then you guys will be like, wait till next year. Like you've been saying for the last 7 fucking years. So, until you guys wake up, nothing's going to change. Until you guys start holding the front office accountable in the same way that you rip the coaches, that you rip the quarterbacks, you run them out of town. Until you run that front office out of town, nothing's going to change. Use your fucking platforms to make change, not to fucking hype up garbage product on the football field.